Welcome to my dad's car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your gran's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it. I guess we start with a big thanks for tuning in. This is the first episode of My Dad's Car, and John's here with us as he will be. We're going to talk a little bit about what you might be able to expect with My Dad's Car. So, John, the clue's kind of in the name, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. Hello to everybody that's listening. Hopefully you've come here for the same sort of reason we've started up this podcast, to try and speak about the cars that our parents drove. So it's not just about Dad's car, is it, Andy? It's about anybody's car. There are stories behind all sorts of people, whether it be your mum, your auntie, your neighbour. There's generally an interesting story lying beneath somebody's front door, isn't there, in terms of the car they drive?
I think so. I think we could be, obviously, depending on who we have on as guests, it can be sort of techie and nerdy. It can be how fast that car went. Or on the flip side, it could be, what air freshener and what colour was it, for those who kind of don't want to go into that. And, favourite journey they went on, where they sat. I was thinking the other day about kind of journeys I took as a kid and how we used to kind of travel with just kids everywhere. So you go around a friend's house to go to a party or something, and there'd be three of you in the boot, and just those kind of just memories coming back just when you think about someone's dad's car. Or
there was definitely a blind eye on the health and safety front, wasn't there, in terms of how many could get into the vehicle. It kind of resembled the little challenges you used to see on like Blue Peter. We try and get sort of 50 people into a Mini or something like that.
It'd be interesting if there's anyone out there who's experienced the. Actually, I've got a friend. I think he took part in one of those sort of challenges. Who, kind of world record. How many people could you get in I think it was a camper van.
Really?
So maybe he's one to talk to.
He's probably still there, wedged in the glove box.
Yeah. Well, if he's down there, well, I'll dig him out, and hopefully he'll come and have a word with us. What I was thinking actually was, what was it about kind of the podcast idea that made you want to get involved?
Obviously the name says what it does on the tin, and it's something that sort of resonates with me quite strongly. I think the whole reason that I kind of have a fondness for cars is probably down to my dad, which he probably kind of drilled into my brothers. And then obviously as time goes on, your brothers get cars and stuff, if you've got older brothers, that is. And you tend to kind of want to do what they want to, or what they're doing. So before you know it, you kind of tunnel visioned into, I quite fancy getting that kind of car when I'm older, that sort of thing. And and obviously we go back a fair few years. That's kind of, I guess, an obvious reason why I jumped it. And also my work situation at the moment is at a bit of a crossroads, so I have got a bit more free time than one would normally like to have. I guess you kind of caught me at a good moment to just jump in and give it a whirl.
Who knows where it's going to go? Hopefully it will provoke kind of some discussions, conjure up a few memories, get people thinking and talking. And
I think so. I think it'll largely bring back a lot of good memories for most people as well, you'd hope. Because when you first mentioned the idea to me, it did kind of bring back a lot of memories that until you really sort of thought deeply about it, in terms of, the journeys you used to make consistently, the music maybe your parents had on in the car, all that kind of stuff, which necessarily you wouldn't really think about until you really kind of dragged up the past a little bit.
Without going too far into it, was your dad a music person in the car?
Not really, Andy. No, mainly sort of Radio 2, bit of Wogan in the mornings as usual, because it was mainly in the mornings that we'd be in the car, sort of school runs, that sort of thing, unless it was sort of the weekend trips out, that kind of activity. But no, his musical tastes were largely kind of the 60s bands, Stones, that kind of stuff. Little bit of Queen as well would often find its way onto the cassette player. And actually, I guess some of his music taste or sort of records played in the vehicle would have to be sort of forced a little bit by whatever we'd bought him for Christmas in WH Smith's, like some sort of compilation album of power ballads or something. would generally find its way on now and again, which is all good. What about yourself? Any sort of regular musical
Your
themes?
dad was kind of, I guess, sort of rock. He quite liked a bit of punk. So, it sort of varied. Yeah, Dire Straits, Stones. He liked the Stones, through to Sex Pistols. And then it's always seemed when you purchased a car back in the day, there'd always be a tape still in it. So he had this compilation tape of 90s dance music, which wasn't kind of his bag at all, but was right up my street. So whenever I was in the car, he had, Urban Cookie Collective and stuff like that to drive along to.
It's funny you say that, actually, because I think when my dad got his Merc, I think there was a Billy Ocean cassette in there, which was actually really good looking back. And when those songs come on the radio now and again, they kind of trigger a memory in my mind, sort of thinking, I'd never have listened to that were it not for that rogue cassette making its way into the radio.
It's funny, isn't it? You think when you sell a car, you clear everything out. And was that kind of was that a token someone deliberately left? Like, no, I don't like that one, it's rubbish. Or, yeah, that's really good. That makes this Cavalier sing.
Yeah.
And the other dad mannerism is kind of the tapping on the steering wheel. I'm dreadful for drumming, but I think that'd be another thing to pick up with people as to mum or dad or gran or whoever, whether they just like to do that or.
I think I don't think my dad was a tapper because the cigarette would have fallen out of his hand essentially. Let's be honest. Yeah, my dad was a massive smoker, so that was one of the main activities in the car in terms of always having a cigarette in his hand, which was, looking back, it's just insane, isn't it, to think that you were just exposed to that as a child. But yeah, that's just the way it was, wasn't it, back then? There was no real nobody really said anything that was going to make them stop.
No, I guess we knew no different. Was he a flick the ash out the window? Was he a fill the ashtray up?
Oh God, no. The ashtray was incredibly full. Kind of looked like, when you go to the recycling centre and you want to go and put your newspapers in and it's just like spilling out. That's kind of what the ashtray always looked like. It was just overflowing. I think it might have been my brother that would clean the car for him on occasion for a £5 or a chocolate bar, whatever was deemed the best. So yeah, unless he cleaned it for him, they would just stay and mount up. It's awful.
Sorry if you're listening with your breakfast, unless you're kind of an avid smoking enthusiast.
Yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, we'll have to put a disclaimer at the top of the podcast for that. May contain ash.
So, hypothetically, we kind of get a telephone call from someone out there in the world. Who would you like to talk to about their dad's car?
That's a good question. I suppose my main interests are sports. The age that I am growing up, one of my heroes is probably Ian Wright, and he is a bit of a character. I think just generally, not even with regards to his dad's car, but he's one of those people that I just would really like to meet. He strikes me as someone that he walks into a room and there's just so much energy, and he seems to do a lot of good as well, actually. I think he would be someone on the top of my list. Yeah, I mean, that would be insane if he was just to walk in and he'd be there. I just can't imagine what that would be like. I said he seems like a really good guy, done a lot of good for the women's game as well, and generally just he seems to get around. He's probably the king of freelancing, I think, in terms of football punditry. Gets on all the channels.
That'd be cool. Yeah, well, let's get this. Yeah, we'll get a few under our belt and we'll drop him a DM.
Well, pencil Ian in. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be up for it.
Anyone else?
I actually don't know. You do that question, don't you? Who do you invite to your ultimate dinner, whatever it was? He's the only one that always comes to my mind for some reason, and I don't know why that is. People always have, the Dalai Lama, don't they, and Gandhi and all these people. I don't think there'd be much use in terms of Dad's car, though, would there? Those two. Have you got anyone that you would?
Yeah, I'm a big car fan, growing up with kind of motorsports and stuff. I'd be interested to talk to Jensen Button. The reason being, in the job that I do, selling car parts and stuff, 14 years ago, I took a phone call from John Button, who was ordering parts for camper van, and it was sent to Monaco. So I'm 99% sure I spoke to his dad, who was buying parts for a camper van. and wanted them sent to Monaco. So it would be pretty full circle to get him on a podcast to chat about his dad's car.
That would be cool. Yeah. He seems like a good guy as well, actually, Jensen, what I've seen of him.
We'll hit him up. If you're listening, Jensen,
it's good to get those two lined up already, isn't it?
yeah, I think we can put those in the calendar pretty much. I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, John.
Yeah, sounds like a go.
We've summarised what the show's going to be about, given a few examples, and hopefully inspired a few people listening. And yeah, hopefully you'll come along for the ride.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's roll the credits. Thanks for tuning into My Dad's Car. We're new at this and really appreciate you listening and supporting the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Give us a follow on social media and tell your friends to tune in too if you think it will be up their street.